This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Raley. We are, the scenario is full Fathom 5. It was written by Paul Fricker, and it's available from Chaosium and Drive-Thru RPG. Stefan Amshey is our keeper of arcane lore, and this is episode 2. Our recap will be given by Holly Buto as her character, Silas Coffin. That being said, and without any further delay, let's begin. Let's continue our journey into the darkness. Holly.
Thank you, Thom. Excerpts from the diary of Silas Coffin. First entry. I don't know what I was thinking when I signed on for this crew. A week ago, I'd stepped foot on a boat once in my life. Now I feel as though I'll never leave this damned ship. The others mock me for my lack of experience. They tell me to find my sea legs as the rolling waves make me sick over and over again. The only person who's treated me with kindness thus far is my bunkmate. I've never met anyone like Mr. Arangi before. We are so very different in many ways, but I think we may be friends now, and that makes up for his oddness. We slaughtered our first whale yesterday. I never thought it would be so brutal and savage. The noises the poor creature was making were a stab in my heart. Mr. Cole says I'm too soft, that I need to toughen up. I just don't know what God must think of this, killing one of his beautiful creatures. I feel shame. There was a strangeness to this hunting trip as well. There seemed to be something in the water, a mound of sorts. The waves just moved over it and didn't change. It felt wrong, like it shouldn't be there. The others had never seen anything like it. It reminded me of something, like a dream. I had this dream the other night, but I can't remember it. But it was wrong, and I woke up in a sweat. I hate it here. I want to go home. The only thing keeping me from leaving at the next port is the thought of Ma and Nellie back at home, relying on the money after Pa. Well, I have to keep going. The most recent entry. I don't know what to make of the recent happenings on board. There's an odd manner about the captain and some of the crew. Secret meetings in the captain's quarters, whispers, chanting, singing incantations and inhuman voices, according to Joseph, the cabin boy. People seeing their mothers in the water? It's madness. Mr. Bond stole everyone's religious items and threw them overboard and tried to blame Mr. Arangi for it. And Mr. Shepherd, poor Mr. Shepherd, he was found murdered this morning. And some are blaming Mr. Cole for his death. I can't believe it. Mr. Cole and Mr. Shepherd were dear friends. Everyone seems to have lost their minds. I fear for my life. Mr. Arangi gave me this little figure he made. He called it Father Tutu. I know nothing about this creature, but he said it might bring me luck. I feel as though I'll need all the luck I can get now.
Very nice, thank you. Before we get started back into the plot, Thom, you're taking over a new character for this session, and so and that is Henry Joy is the one you've chosen. Am I right?
That is correct.
Perhaps you could share whatever details you'd like to share with us about Henry Joy.
Well, Henry Joy is a seasoned boat steerer. He has worked his way up from the bottom. He has been with the captain for some time now. Been on many voyages and is very loyal to the captain. He runs a tight ship and he checks everybody's calculations himself every time, just to make sure everything is correct. Other than that, he's kind of an easy person to get along with.
Mm-hmm. And you are a boat steerer? That's
Oops,
correct?
here.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks, Tom.
I'm about 57 years old.
Okay. Okay. Now, when we return to the boat, we are in the aftermath of Herman Shepard's murder. And in the immediate aftermath of the murder, several things happen. Number one, Matthew Cole is arrested. He's taken down to a storage room in the hold that has a reinforced door, and in times of need serves double duty as a brig. And Matthew, when you are placed down in this hold and the irons are taken off as the door is closed, you notice that your hands are pallid and whitish, kind of clammy, and the edges of your fingernails have this kind of a unnatural bluish black color to them. But the other thing that happens is everybody at some point gets a chance to look over the scene of Herman Shepard's murder. And I'm just going to go over all the details that are discovered. There's no roles required here because presumably whatever details are discovered is going to be shared around, so everything is going to be found. So I'll just tell you what the details are. Herman's body is found lying on the floor on his back. His mouth is brimming with water, and his eyes are bulging out in a very disturbing way. There's a purplish discoloration around his neck, and his neck is at an unnatural angle. It looks like it might have been broken, very clearly been strangled. There's more water soaking his berth and on the floor around it. Herman's body also has his knife in one hand. Now you know it's Herman's knife because it has a scrimshaw handle that he made himself. You guys watched him do it. And the blade has a very small trace of blood on it. And then there are a few fish scales found on Herman, found on the knife, and found on the ground around his berth. So,
this be a terrible thing.
I can't
Indeed.
believe it would be Mr. Cole that would do such a thing. They were such dear friends.
An awful,
It is a
awful
damnable
unfortunate events.
shame. I don't know whether it be the sea or the devil that got into Mr. Cole.
Being out on a
Both can make men
line
do
does to a
terrible
man.
things.
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah.
confident, Mr. DeWitt, though? Are we confident it was Mr. Cole?
I saw Matthew Cole strangling him when I was awoken in the middle of the night.
It's just so terrible.
Yeah.
And
So-
was the deed done, Mr. DeWitt, before you could get to him? Your bunk's only
By the time I got tangled up in the ropes on my bunk and couldn't seem to arouse anybody else from their sleep, and such a strange night it was.
Aye, indeed. The captain orders the body sewed up in some extra sailcloth and weighted down with sandbags. And then he summons the men up on deck. And as the men are gathering, he calls Joseph Wright. Joseph.
Aye, aye, Captain.
He reaches into his pocket and takes out a key ring, a brass key ring with a key on it. And he holds it out. He says, Joseph, go into my cabin. Go fetch the Bible. It's the one with the black cover. Bring it to me.
Aye, aye, Captain. I'll do just that, sir.
That's a good lad.
Take the key and head to the cabin.
Yeah.
I will absolutely use this opportunity to sleuth a little bit. I don't want to take much more time than is strictly necessary, but I figure I need to at least check to see which of the books is the book he's asking for. I saw him reading another book that I don't think had a black cover, if I remember correctly. Um,
Indeed, it did not. So the question is, you're going to go straight to the captain's cabin, and you're going to let yourself in, I presume. Is there anything else you want to do on the way, or?
I want to give myself as much time in the cabin itself without raising any suspicion. But I should ask, this key ring has literally one key on it, or does it have others as well?
This particular key ring has only one key on it.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So I'll go directly to the cabin.
Okay. So yeah, the cabin has the captain's berth. It's not the spacious, windowed, a fantasy cabin that you might expect from a fantasy pirate movie. It's actually quite small. There's a berth. There is a seaman's chest, but there is room also for a desk, a small cabinet on the wall, and a small bookshelf with several books on it. Yeah.
I will find the Bible and try to find the book that I think I saw him reading.
They are literally right next to each other on the bookshelf. Yeah. And when you get a better look at it now, you see that it's not so much a book or a tome as a leather-bound collection of handwritten pages. They're perforated and bound together with a leather cord.
Okay. Um, I want to open it and flip through it. I'm looking for, do I think this is the captain's handwriting? Do I think he's adding to it presently? And how much time do I think I have left before he starts to get concerned that I'm dawdling?
Okay. Tell me again about your literacy.
It's not great. Let's see. I have English at 50 on the character sheet, but I think that the character of Joseph Wright speaks English more than he reads and writes it. I haven't really spent any time in school. The sea has been my school. She's all I've ever known. I have been up and down these riggings so many times I can read them like the back of my hand. But
Okay.
this book learning.
Why don't you make an English language roll for me?
Mhm.
And we'll see what that says.
Shot.
That's pretty good. So, when you open the book, you can tell two things immediately. One is that the handwriting does not match the captain's handwriting, which is, you can see all over the logs and charts on the desk. The other thing, which comes as somewhat of a relief, is that the book is hand illustrated as well. It looks like a secondhand copy of something else. So you're like, oh, I might just be able to understand something about this book because of the illustrations. However, that thought is quickly overshadowed when on the first page alone, you see a hand-drawn image, and the image that you see will haunt your thoughts and recur again in your nightmares for the rest of your natural life. And I need you to roll a sand check, please.
Awesome. Awesome. Sanity. Let's see. So I got a hard on English. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Ooh, success. Just barely.
Okay. So you lose one sand for the
Okay.
time being, and you shut the thing immediately, and you're like, oh God, what did I just look at?
No. No. Okay. I will put it back carefully on the shelf, exactly where I found it, as I
Okay.
found it, take the Bible and scurry back to the captain.
And by
Try
the
to keep
way,
my
you
cool.
you were able to make out the title. It was called Monsters and Their Kind. And it's spelled in that old English fashion, monsters, TRES, and their kind, KYNDE.
And I assume this image was so awful that I can't even form a cohesive concept to explain to others what it is that I saw, just that it
Yeah,
was so baffling.
the image truly defies description in words.
Okay.
But, if you'd like to try, I will let you use your imagination and attempt that. Absolutely.
Great. So I'm sweating a little bit. I'm going, Captain, I have the Bible for you, sir. Here's the sacred book and your key.
As you gather up on deck, around the body of Herman Shepherd, the captain stands on one side and the crew stands on the other. Where do you guys want to position yourselves? Do you want to be close to the captain? Do you want to be in the background? What's your preference on this?
I think somebody has to be steering the ship, so I will still be manning the ship.
Okay.
But I'm listening.
Okay, so Henry Joy is at the wheel.
Yeah, Isaac is one of the workhorses, so I'm sure he's ready to hoist the body over. He's right in the middle of it working.
Okay, Isaac, yeah. The body is placed on a plank, and so there are 4 sailors, and you'll be one of those sailors on either side of the body that are ready to dump it when the ceremony is over. How about the rest of you?
I be standing near the captain.
Okay, yeah. John DeWitt, right next to the captain. How about Silas and Matthew Cole?
I think this makes me feel so awful. I'm just kind of hovering at the back away from the body.
Okay, yeah, and Matthew, no, I do understand you're downstairs for this, so. Okay, so then John DeWitt, when Joseph Wright comes back from the captain's cabin holding the Bible, you notice right away Lawson Bond sees the Bible and his eyes go wide in anger, and he looks at the captain like he's about to explode. And the captain looks back at him and kind of dismissively says, "It's just a reading, Mr. Bond."
I'm trying to tamp down on my own anger, seeing that Lawson Bond has yet to be punished for what he's done.
Yeah. So the conversation about Lawson Bond, in the meantime, is on the back burner because of the Herman Shepherd's murder has obviously eclipsed everything else for the time being. But once the body has been sewn into sailcloth, and it's tradition to put the final stitch through the nose, both to confirm death and to make sure it doesn't close. It's weighted down, and the captain opens up the Bible, and he says he takes a handwritten extract from out of the inside the book's cover, and he begins reading. "We therefore commit his body to the deep, to be turned into corruption, looking for the resurrection of the body, when the sea shall give up her dead, and the life of the world to come, through our Lord." And there's this sudden pause in his reading, and he sort of half glances over at Lawson Bond, and then picks up again. "Our Lord, who at his coming shall change our vile body, that it may be like his glorious body, according to the mighty working, whereby he is able to subdue all things unto himself." And then he closes the Bible, and the 4 sailors tilt the board upward, and Herman Shepherd's body slides into the ocean. Now, can anybody who is listening who would care to make a history or a hard education roll?
I believe that did not sound very much like the Bible.
Common Book of Prayer.
Yeah.
Ha, no, I failed miserably.
Okay. Any successes there?
No.
That's negative? Okay. There was something off about that passage. I'm not quite sure what, but there was definitely something off about that. But afterwards, the captain says, "Second mate DeWitt, come with me to my cabin, please. We'll speak there." And then he turns to the first mate. Mr. Reed, put the men back to work. Idle hands are the devil's hands. And Obed Reed is, aye, sir. So, John DeWitt, I assume you're going to accompany the captain back to his cabin?
Aye, that be the plan.
Okay. So you and the captain sit down in the captain's cabin. And he says, "You've made a serious accusation, Mr. DeWitt."
I do believe that it was Mr. Cole that killed that poor sailor.
So you've said. Matthew Cole is part of my crew, after all, just like yourself, and deserving of the same consideration.
Aye.
So, and he takes out the Bible that he read from, and he places it on the desk, and he says, "This here is me papa's own Bible, passed to me when he died, and I consider it sacred. Now, if you please, sir, place your hand upon this Bible and tell me true what it is you saw, and don't leave out no details. This is a man's liberty we're talking about, after all."
I seem to be a place my hand on the book. I swear before God and all the angels that act as his witness that last night I was stirred by that poor sailor screaming and calling for help, and I saw a figure in the dark leering over him, strangling the life out of him. And I tried to come to his aid, but I was tangled all terrible like in my cot, and I couldn't seem to rouse anybody else from their slumber to help him, and he was trying to save himself with his knife, but got no purchase, and in the moonlight I saw that it was the terrible form of Mr. Cole that was doing the strangling. And come when I could finally get free, and others awake, we found a Mr. Cole out of his cot and above deck in a strange state. That is what I saw, sir. Captain.
And you're certain that what you saw was true and not a dream or hallucination?
It's such a strange night, Captain. I can't be sure of what it was. As I said, I tried to help, but I was unable to. It seemed that everything was so dark and far, and again, I was so tangled up in the ropes. I don't know, sir. Maybe it was all but a dream. But somebody's done this deed. And we did find a Matthew Cole all by his lonesome on above deck come the morning.
He nods and he's silent for a long time. Then he says, "Well, I'll not contradict my second officer. But before I sentence a man to death, this is what you'll do, John DeWitt. You'll go down and you'll talk to Matthew Cole yourself, and you'll tell him that it's on your word that he is being sentenced to death. You'll look him in the eye, sir, and you tell him that. And then you'll come back to me, and we'll deal with the consequences."
Aye, Captain.
Dismissed, Mr. DeWitt.
Yeah, I'll go to the storage room / brig.
Okay. Matthew Cole, you have a visitor.
Okay, well, he was sort of sitting in the corner looking at the wall, kind of hunched over, kind of lost in thought, so he doesn't even hear you open the door unless you say his name or something.
When you see Matthew Cole, John DeWitt, when you first see Matthew, you are startled by his change in appearance. His eyes are sunken and hollow, dark circles around them. His skin looks pallid and, glistening with wetness. And he looks like death.
Aye, such a sorry sight.
Mr. DeWitt,
Mr. Cole.
you've come to talk to me finally. You and I have much to confer on.
Why did you do it, Mr. Cole?
I did
That's what
nothing.
escaped me. Why?
I did nothing, Mr. DeWitt. It's clear that our enemies are trying to drive a wedge between us. Think, Mr. DeWitt.
Who be our enemies, Mr. Cole?
Me, you, and Herman were the few that were fighting the deviltry that was going on above decks. And then who gets killed? Herman, who was with you, and I gets blamed for it, who am also with you. It's two birds with one stone, as they say. Our enemies are working to remove us one by one. It's as clear as day to me. I would never harm that man.
I can't deny what it was that I saw last night.
Oh, did you bring some tobacco? Because I'm starting to get those terrible pains that you get.
I always have.
Do me a solid and pass me some.
Yeah, I'll let you smoke from my pipe.
Thank you, sir. Now, I'll tell you one thing, Mr. DeWitt, so this will help maybe put it into perspective. I had a terrible dream that night, but it wasn't a dream of murder or any such thing. It was a dream where I was walking under the ocean, and I was walking, and I saw a terrible, terrible resplendent temple. It looked like it was a place that should not be opened. And it was terrifying and horrible, like some kind of evil underwater sepulcher. I don't know why, and it just beheld me. And then, of course, when I woke up, I was above the deck, and I must have sleptwalked there. But I can tell you one thing. When I was sleepwalking, never once did I throw a blow or try to strike anyone. I was just walking the whole time. In no way could I have killed a man in my sleep, because my body was not pulling me thus. So whatever deviltry happened to poor Herman, I was bedeviled as well in order to create a situation to make me look guilty. And I can just think of nothing about what's... Yes.
Your body was possessed, as it were.
Well, it was pulled in its sleep, but it was not a killing body.
Aye, but then if it wasn't be ye in your body, then who was it that strangled him, Mr. Cole?
Well, we know that there's some devil, taking our books and getting rid of them. Lawson is somehow involved in all that. And he's not even been punished for his nonsense. And perhaps he has friends. And what about all the chanting going on and all the nonsense going on in the captain's cabin? There is something afoot, sir. And you and I and Herman were investigating that. And we were trying to see what was going on. And then suddenly, I'll be dead and Herman is dead. And what that leaves is you. One of your few only allies. Sir, if you have any sense, you'll keep me alive, even if you have me locked up here as a possible threat. But the time will come to prove my innocence. And you do not want to send me to my death and have that on your hearts, because it will come to light at some point, and you will know then.
Aye, this is
good tobacco, sir.
This is a terrible, terrible thing. But I do not have it in my heart to condemn you to die just yet.
So keep me under observation and keep investigating. Something will come to light.
Aye. Well, but for the time being, you must stay here.
Aye. Well, I give you back.
I must be asking for that pipe back.
Yes, of course, I understand. I'm sorry I sucked so much of the precious leaves away there.
Aye, you'd be nervous.
Yes,
every right to be.
I do fear my death, sir. And I also fear, I don't fear going to heaven, but I do fear dying unready to die. I had a hope of going to land again one day. And there was a woman. I don't know what will happen now.
Aye, well, only God knows the future, Mr. Cole.
I'm hoping he brings the truth to light, sir.
Aye, me as well. I be praying. Right.
Thank you, sir.
So, you're going to leave him down there, locked away, or you're going to let him loose?
I'm going to leave him locked in there.
I get back to staring at the wall, contemplating.
Okay. So while these conversations are happening, let's go back up to the top deck, where the rest of you guys are getting put to work. So I want to explain, as an aside here, a little bit about processing whales. The process of processing the whale carcasses is called flensing. And while flensing, you stand kind of outboard on a plank, like a scaffold plank. And you're using these long-handled knives that look a little bit more like pole arms than actual knives. They're called flensing knives. And you're cutting off these big strips of blubber off this whale, sort of rolling it as you cut them off and try to keep them in one long continuous sheet. And they sort of unwrap like a big flesh burrito, right? Yeah, it's gross. It's just as gross as it sounds. And you guys swing over a couple yard arms and use a windlass to lift this big sheet of blubber, which is extremely heavy, off the thing. And every once in a while, of course, it gets caught on something like a fluke bone or something like that. So you have to actually get down onto the carcass, hands and knees with a hatchet and hack away at this thing to cut it loose, right? This is a pretty common activity. And these big strips of whale blubber are called Bible leaves. I don't know why they're called Bible leaves, but that's just how they refer to them. And so it is. One boat is filled with sailors. None of you guys, in fact, all 6 of you guys are still on board the Barclay. But one of the chase boats is filled with sailors and they go off. So you have an afternoon kind of where you're working while the other guys are hunting whales. And you guys are working, some of you are above deck, just a few of you, and a few people are working below deck. And as it happens, Silas Coffin and Isaac Chase, you guys are working together, processing a couple of the whale carcasses that have been floating next to the boat overnight and waiting to be processed. And that leads me to my next topic, which is sharks. Now, typically sharks for you guys are the same sort of curiosity that they are for us in the modern day, right? They're interesting. Every once in a while, like a big shark will show up, and the work stops for a few minutes while you guys kind of go over to one side and watch this big scary thing, like take off big chunks of blubber out of these dead whales and go off. And so, you are quite familiar with sharks. They show up quite often. There's no magic to them, really. And you kind of just keep an eye out for them. And every once in a while, when you have to step down onto a whale, there are sharks around. And so it becomes the duty of the person who's standing outboard with a flensing knife to drive off, any sharks that get close, right? And it's not long into the voyage, before a couple people are bitten at by sharks. And when you almost have your foot bitten off by a shark, it changes your whole attitude. And so most of the men just begin viciously stabbing at them with these flensing knives whenever they appear. But as it happens today, when you guys are working on this thing, you're looking down, there's a whole bunch of very small white sharks, like about a foot long, not enough to do any serious damage, but there's like a legion of them, and they have these weird milky white eyes, and they seem to have shown up overnight, and they've taken a whole bunch of little divots out of the whale carcass that you guys are working on. And that has Obed Reed kind of annoyed, and also the strip of blubber that you're trying to get off is threatening to tear itself off. And so Obed is, kind of like, what's the holdup?
I'm sorry, Mr. Reed. These little sharks, they're swarming.
It's like, well, get down there and cut it loose before they get the rest of it. And he holds out a hatchet to you.
Aye, sir.
And
Alright,
then
give that here. You don't know what you're doing.
Yes, Mr.
You gonna-
Chase.
you're gonna hop down there, Isaac?
Yeah, I'm jumping in.
Okay. Obed Reed immediately is, drawn off doing other stuff. Henry Joy's across the deck, coiling up ropes and stuff like that, and he's, get that sheet tight, Henry, and he wanders off while you guys are doing this. So then Isaac Chase, you hop down onto this bobbing carcass, right? This sort of slimy, bobbing piece of raw meat.
Somewhere where I've been many times before.
Yeah, and Silas, you're watching as Isaac starts hacking away at like a fluke joint. Mm-hmm. A giant bone joint on this pile of meat and blubber. And as you're watching, an arm rises out of the water immediately behind Isaac and begins reaching towards the back of his leg.
Mr. Chase! Mr. Chase! Behind
What?
you!
I spin.
Okay, Isaac. I'm gonna make a check here. Isaac, you see the hand coming at you when you spin around.
Ooh, I chop at it.
It grabs at you. You chop at it with the hatchet? Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's see here.
And Silas, what would you like to do?
I'm going to jump down and try to help him.
So
I have one of those like
pretty bad fail.
Those like knife things, right? You described them as like pole arms. Yeah, I'm going to try to get down there and help him.
Yeah, you're gonna jump down onto the whale too?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a splat, and then Silas is down there with you. And what are your dexterities?
88. Wow.
Silas.
Yeah, I'm
how
just
about,
gonna take a stab at this arm. It's still there.
Yeah, go ahead and make a. We'll call it a brawl roll. It'll be the same as a unskilled attack. So.
I rolled a 66 on mine. I failed.
Okay.
Panicking over it.
I would like to spend luck if I can.
You may do that.
Luck. Yeah.
You may do that.
I will spend that luck to make it a success then.
Okay. Silas stabs at the arm. Doesn't hit the arm, but hits right where the body of whatever the thing would be was. And the arm immediately goes back into the water, just slips back into the water. And the two of you are sitting there going, did we just see that?
What the hell was that? What was that?
What skin color was it? Did it look human?
It looked like a human-like arm, but it was... You have the impression that it was scaly.
What was that, Mr. Chase? I've never seen such a thing.
We need to get out of here. This is something very strange. Wasn't Herman talking about mermaids? I've never seen something
His
like
mother,
this.
yes. He said his mother was in the water, and then he said it was a siren. I don't know.
I'm gonna call up for people to help us. I'm sure it's a process to get back on the ship.
Okay. Yeah, Obed Reed hears you. A couple minutes later, he helps you back up there, and he's like, "What's the problem?"
Reed, we were attacked. We're an arm, scaly. Look at all those sharks down there. There's some odd critters. Something else. Something unnatural. I don't know. Something unfamiliar, at least.
He looks at the whale, and he looks at you, and he's like, "I'm surprised at you, Isaac. An arm. You should know better."
I know what I saw, and I have witnesses.
It's true, Mr. Reed. I saw the arm. It tried to grab him.
There's something in the water.
He shakes his head. He's like, "Just get back to work. I don't want to hear any more about arms or mermaids or any of that nonsense. Ridiculous."
Aye, sir.
Now, Mr. Chase.
Aye.
Okay. Let's move from you guys to Joseph Wright. Joseph, Obed Reed approaches you at one point, and he says, "Joseph, I have a job for you."
Hi, Captain. Oh, voice crack.
It's Obed Reed. It's the first mate.
Hi, first mate. I apologize. Just
Yep. He says, "Come with me, Joseph."
yes, sir. First mate, sir. Obed, sir.
He walks you towards the bow of the ship, and all the way to the very front, and he points at the bowsprit, which is it's carved in the figure of a man, kind of a stern looking man. And he says, "That's old Barclay Chapel, the captain's father, the man who the ship is named after." And he points at the end of it, and you can see there's like a piece of seaweed hanging off his head, and there's a couple barnacles growing on his face. And he says, "As you can see, Barclay needs a clean up and a rub down." And he takes out a rag and a little jar of linseed oil, and he kind of pushes them into you. And he says, "Get out there and polish old Barclay's knob. And be careful, it's slippery."
Sir, are you sure doing this in the open sea polishing the knob of the captain's father is ordinarily something I would be delighted to do. But
We're not sailing, Joseph, right? If you fall in, you swim around to the side and you climb back up, for Christ's sake.
With the shark, the shark. Oh, I'll try to hold on. Can I tie myself in? Can I?
You'll be the first sailor in the world afraid of a fish, Joseph Wright. Now get out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I take the oil and the rag and I shimmy my way out the bowsprit, holding on for dear life. I imagine I've heard this episode at least enough to know that there's sharks about.
Yeah. You're aware that there are some strange, unusual sharks about. You're not particularly concerned about them. They're not like the big great whites that give you nightmares. So it's not that big of a deal. So you kind of like start squeezing your way out there, and as long as you I assume you're going to go slow and be safe about this, right?
Oh yes, I'm in no rush.
Yeah.
This is probably much better than whatever swabbing I was doing before.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Yeah. And as you're out there, kind of like, picking off barnacles and rubbing them down with linseed oil, you begin to hear a soft, feminine voice singing a song like a lullaby that seems to echo and come from all around.
Oh, a little work song. Isn't that lovely? I'm continuing to polish the knob and listen to the music, and so I'm enjoying this. It's the sound of the water underneath. This is what I came here for. Ah yes, isn't the ocean wonderful? Indeed. And I suppose I'll take a second, entranced by the music, to look around me and consider the horizon and the rippling waves.
And actually, you do finally localize the source of the sound down to a spot along the outside of the hull of the ship, right along the waterline. Actually, only about 15 or so feet away from you. And at this point, of course, after hearing the soft singing and with Herman Shepard's freak out yesterday still kind of fresh in your mind, you're sort of half expecting to see a mermaid yourself. And when you do see a thing, it does have a fishtail, and you look up more and it does have a human-like torso. But where maybe in your fantasies you imagine the face of a young woman, instead you see only a blank alien visage completely covered with scales. If it has eyes, you don't know where they are.
Holy shit! And I scrabble with the rag and it falls down into the water. Damn it!
And
The first
whereas you might expect a mermaid to be timid or shy, the thing, whatever it is, doesn't appear shy at all. And although you don't see any eyes, you somehow have this certain feeling that the thing, whatever it is looking right back at you. And there's a gentle splash as the thing almost casually pushes itself off from the hull of the ship and swims out directly beneath you. And I'm going to need you to make a sand check
Okay.
and a dex check.
Sand and Dex. Ooh, failed the sand. But whoa, what happened?
Joseph, you lose 1 sanity.
Mm-hmm. But extreme on the Dex.
But the startled vision of this thing below you does not cause you to lose your grip. You're hanging on for dear life. And Joseph, I'm going to let you think about what you want to do while you dangle there for a second. And we're going to shift to Henry Joy.
Okay.
Henry, you're on deck also, doing work. And after setting Joseph to work, Obed Reed kind of comes your way. And he kind of steps over to the side rail and starts rolling a cigarette. And he gives you one of those subtle, like, head nods, like, come over here, Henry Joy.
Mr. Reed. How
Henry.
goes the whale?
He nods. He takes a long time to roll the cigarette. And then he lights it. Takes a long toke and blows out some smoke. And then he looks you right in the eyes. And he says, Henry, go and check on Joseph Wright. It's dangerous up there.
Aye.
So, Henry Joy, when you walk up to the bow, the scene you walk into is the scene I just described with Joseph Wright out there on the bowsprit, and something in the water just below him is reaching up, and every time the ship bobs down in the water and Joseph Wright sort of sinks down, the thing reaches up and tries to grab at him.
Joseph. I'll put my hand out for Joseph.
And Henry Joy, you're not immune to the sand check. I'm going to need you to make a sand check as well.
I got a 001.
Okay, you lose 1 sand.
Wasted on that.
Yeah.
Joseph,
Yeah.
grab my hand.
Ah, Mr. Joy. Everything's going fine. Thank you for the assistance. I
You
I
gonna grab
dropped
my hand?
rag.
Yeah. I kind of want a roll to know if it's oily from the linseed oil.
My hand.
I'm going to try to pull him up.
You're going to try to pull him up.
Try to pull him up onto the ship.
I would say that yes, it is a fair bet that the bowsprit is fairly well oiled up at this point. You're gonna try to pull him back onto the bow, onto the
By
deck of the
his
bow.
hand, if it's oily, I hope it's not too oily.
His hand is pretty oily.
It's
So
polishing.
Joseph, why don't you make me a dexterity check here?
I try to grip it, probably painfully, Joseph.
Let's see. Oof. Fail.
Yeah. Okay, so there's two things going on. One is Joseph is in fear for his life right now, and he's holding on for dear life with one arm around the bowsprit. And he grabs your hand, but you can tell it's oily, and you don't have a good grip on him. So you don't want to take his full weight. But this thing, meanwhile, starts to take some swipes at Joseph. And...
Oh no.
Well, Joseph, you're getting lucky so far. You feel the air swoosh by underneath you. But so far it hasn't managed to grab you.
I'm going to hook my leg around the bowsprit, and with one hand holding him, I'm going to reach down with my other hand and grab his shirt and try to lift him up.
Okay, Henry Joy, I'm going to need you to make a strength check.
Okay. 50-50. 92.
Well, you grab him and you're like, I got you, Joseph. And you start pulling. And Joseph, the next thing you know, you go into the drink.
Joseph!
Mr. Joy!
Yeah. And
Man
Henry Joy,
overboard! Man overboard!
I'm going to need you to make an idea roll, Henry Joy.
I'm now right next to this fishy fella, am I not?
95. I have no idea.
Okay.
Man overboard! Man overboard!
Joseph, you can feel and see something shadowy swimming around you in circles. But you swim back up to the surface, and you can see Henry Joy looking down at you from the bow.
It's all right, Mr. Joy. I can swim like a fish. And I'll start trying to get around to the other side of the boat. I guess to the whale carcass.
Okay. Henry Joy, Obed Reed, you can see, comes running. He apparently heard your call.
The boy
And
fell
he comes-
in.
He did. And he nods. And he says, Henry, go below.
Not him, Obed, not him.
He comes up face to face with you and says, why not, Henry?
He's just a boy.
Ah, Henry, you've got no backbone. And he turns around and he's like, this way, Joseph, swim this way, quickly.
I'm going to turn and go down into the boat.
Aye, Mr. Reed, I'm coming in your direction.
Okay. Before you can quite make it to the side of the boat, though, you get grabbed from below by your ankle, and you feel yourself being pulled under. And you are watching this, Henry Joy.
Oh, hold on. I'm fucking diving in.
Okay. I like it. So, Henry Joy, you make the plunge. Another person goes in. And Joseph, you see a splash as Henry Joy comes down there. And Henry, you swim right to him. I'm going to need you to make a swim check, Henry Joy.
Jesus. I'm a sailor that has minimum swim. Yeah, I don't succeed. I got 72 out of 20.
Okay, Joseph, I'm gonna need you to make an extreme strength check.
Oh God. Let's see. Strength. Oof. That's a regular success.
Henry, you're watching as Joseph is going farther and farther down into the water. Something is clearly pulling him.
And I'm just not a good swimmer. And I'm trying to get to him. I don't think I can swim to him.
I'm gonna let you make a choice here, Henry. I'll let you push the swim roll if you want.
Yeah, pushing a 20, I'll almost definitely fail. What if I fail?
The consequences are dire right now.
Save me. Save me.
I so want to. I'm just inadequate. I resurface.
Okay. You
I
watch
can't get to him. I can't
as
get.
Joseph's poor face goes further and further into the deep and eventually disappears altogether into the darkness. Joseph Wright, I'm afraid you've died. Let's take a quick timeout here. And Joseph, I'm going to have you pick a new character, and we'll take 5 minutes to set this up so that we don't pause the game. And
Cool.
I'll just play a little shanty while we're doing that, while you take your pick of whatever character you want to do.
5 minutes later.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Catch a cabin boy by the toe.
I wish you'd
Oh.
caught the cabin boy by the toe.
If he hollers, drag him below.
Oh yeah.
Glub, 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 glub.
Glove, 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 glove. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
haunted by
how
his
carpenter.
face sinking below. Just like no.
How about the carpenter? That's George Hussey.
Yeah, the carpenter should be able to stand board almost all the time. Yes.
Yeah. I want to be below decks with some wood carving it.
Okay, see if you can open it now. Try making a roll.
Cool, I've got it.
Okay. Do you want me to send you the PDF as well, or are you good with this?
I'm good with this. Let's see. There's a little backstory. I can read it here. Oh, I
Yeah.
carved that's very poetic. I carved the figurehead.
Ooh, that's so pro, man. That's awesome.
Oh, I don't have any friends. I'm lonely.
You're the
Only
landlubber
looking
that
for
stays
a
in my
friend.
quarters. I hate him.
That's it.
Time to make friends.
Cool. 28. Oh, I'm from Hawaii. Cool. I'm just looking. Oh, I can swim really well. That's interesting. I didn't know Joseph could.
He can
Carpenter
swim.
can swim in the
Yeah,
sailor
that
can.
makes sense. And it's the heck?
Let's see. Yeah, I can swim it. Oh no, I can't swim, but I can survive at sea. I can read the character sheet. Never mind. Jump mechanical repair. That's interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll be George Hussey.
George Hussey it is.
I gotta think about my little character here. What's he like? Do we think? I think he's pensive, quiet, but nice once you get to know him. But shy. That's why he has no friends.
He probably always has nails sticking out of his mouth, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always biting on some nails.
He's a
I have a
woodworker.
pencil in the pocket.
Yeah, pencil in the pocket.
Okay. Preston, tell us about your new character.
My name's George Hussey. I'm a carpenter. I carved the figurehead. I was hired by Abraham to carve a figurehead in his likeness, and now I work for the present Captain Chapel. My tasks include forming the staves on the sides of barrels, repairing any wooden things that have broken. In my free time, I think I maintain a small whittling practice. I'm lonely here, a landlubber among seafaring folks, but the pay is good and the fresh air does me well after being cooped up in the workshop for so long.
Good. Okay. So immediately following the drowning of Joseph Wright, Henry Joy, you're up on deck next to Obed Reed.
Oh, God. I tried, but it took him.
He puts his arm on his hand on your shoulder, and he says, "It's all right, Henry. The sea claimed him."
It would be better if the sea would claim the old and not the young. Who's going to carry on our legacy if it's not the young?
What does it matter, Henry? You know where we're going.
Decks. I want to go below decks and talk to Matthew.
All right. All right.
Well, that's
Yeah.
fine. Go ahead.
So, so you that's no problem. You are able to go below decks, and Matthew Cole, you have another visitor.
Mr. Joy, an
Cole.
unexpected visit. We don't talk very often. Does something burden you?
I'm sorry to say that we just lost our cabin boy, whose
Good
name
Lord.
oddly escapes me.
Oh,
Joseph, I think.
Joseph.
but he was. That's god awful. What happened? What happened, man? Tell me.
He fell into the water. He was trying to scrape the barnacles off of
Oh,
the jib sprite, and
why give him such a duty? It's so dangerous.
it wasn't that he fell into the water. It was that there was something there that grabbed a hold of him, and
What?
it wasn't no shark.
Explain, Mr. Joy. What did you see?
Some sort of thing like Shepherd was talking about. Somebody in the
Oh.
water.
Yes, Mr. Joy, I believe Shepard did see something. There's something or things following us. Instead of a school of sharks, perhaps there's a school of something else.
Some sort of spirit of the sea.
Yes. Ever since some of us saw this mound out in the ocean a while back, and there was something terrible about it. And I think ever since then we've been harassed. We've been cursed.
What
There's
sort of
some-
mound in the sea?
Talk to Mr. DeWitt, but there were 6 of us, and now there's only 3 survivors from that. But there was a mound. It was almost like something was resting and waiting in the water, observing us. There was a terrible sense of a presence there. And since then, it was unnatural the way the water flowed around it. It was so strange. And then I've been tormented by terrible dreams of underwater cities and things. Maybe what's where these things come from. I don't know what's going on, but Mr. Joy, think about the loss of the Bibles. Think about the devils of the ocean. What could be happening?
I was hoping you could tell me.
Well, there is something going on, absolutely. And if you saw something, I absolutely believe you. And I think you should tell Mr. DeWitt, because he will also believe you and he needs to know.
What happened to Shepherd?
One of those things was trying to reach out to him, perhaps. I don't know why. I don't know what they want from us except possibly our lives. And then why he died, I don't know, except that he was firmly set to try to understand what was happening, and perhaps they wanted him dead for that reason.
What do you remember? Where were you?
Well, that night
I heard you were on deck.
I was on deck. I was in my dreams. I was under the water, and there was a world down there, and it was both beautiful and frightening at the same time. I mean, I don't even know how I could see because it was so far down, but there was enough light, and it was something crafted, but not by anything I've recognized in any of the few books I've seen, and it wasn't built for man. I don't understand what I was looking at.
Like
I've never
a
had
city under
dreams
the
like
sea.
that. Yes. Maybe that's where these these sea devils come from. But wait, why did we lose the Bibles? Maybe that was the way we could chase them off. What's going on, Mr. Joy? There's somebody on board this ship, I think, working with them.
I don't
Tell
know.
Mr. DeWitt what you saw. Let him know.
So you don't have any idea what they were. You say you saw them? You saw
no.
what Shepard saw?
I saw, yes, in kind of in the water, I saw a sort of a dreamlike thing. But I think Mr. Shepard actually saw it in the water for real, so
You've had dreams.
yes.
Could you have been sleepwalking?
I did sleepwalk. Of course, it's known that men do that.
Have you
Well,
ever
then-
sleptwalked before?
Never in my life. But it is a thing that men have been known to do. In fact, I'm
something-
sure you've all heard stories of somebody's granddad waking up in the barn doing something slightly suspicious with the cattle. It's a thing that happens. I was trying to make light of the situation, but to continue, I've never sleptwalked before in my life, but I could see how I could have done this time because the feeling of the dream was so vivid and real. And it brought me up to the decks.
All right. I think I'm going to try to put in a good word for you.
Tell Mr. DeWitt what you saw, Joe. He'll believe you. And it may help. If you're scared of these things, tell Mr. DeWitt.
Do I notice the physical changes in Matthew?
Oh, yes. Clear as day. He looks like
Let's-
a corpse.
Give me your hand, mister. It's cold and wet and clammy.
Yeah, and you can see his nails have turned almost completely blue-black.
Is there any
His
scales?
lips are starting to turn black as well. No scales.
Any webbing between his fingers?
As a matter of fact, since you mention it, it does seem like there's a peculiar amount of webbing between his fingers.
Mr. Joy, you seem entranced by my wretched condition. I have no idea what's going on, except I think despair has driven something from my body. Do you understand what's taking place with these hands?
I have no idea. But it would seem that you're quite cold.
Yes, I feel uncomfortable. I feel out of sorts, but I put it down to fear of death and confusion.
If there are supplies down here, can I grab a blanket and
Yeah,
toss it to him to make sure that
Yeah.
he stays warm?
definitely.
I mean, you were wet, right? So
Yeah,
it's
I've-
wet
all
and it's cold.
no one has tended to me at all except to give me some puffs of tobacco. So I
I'll
appreciate.
see
Yeah.
if they can. I'll see if
I
they can bring
appreciate
you
that.
some food.
Oh, that would be most excellent, Mr. Joy. Thank you very
If
much.
you have any cravings?
Still the weed. That's about it. Oh, perhaps I feel a bit peckish for some fish, perhaps, maybe cooked. That sounds good. I don't know why. One gets
Okay.
cravings sometimes.
I'll see what I can do, and I will go back upstairs.
Okay. Is there anyone else you'd like to talk to?
I think I will go to Mr. DeWitt.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. DeWitt, a word with you, please.
Hi, what's on your mind, Mr. Joy?
You've heard about what happened to Joseph.
Oh, what has happened to Joseph?
Joseph fell into the water. He was at the bowsprit cleaning, and I got there just as he was starting to slip. I tried to save him, and he fell into the water. I dove in after him, and I'm not a very strong swimmer, sir.
By Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, what a terrible. May God rest that poor boy's soul.
Yeah. Apparently he wasn't a strong swimmer either.
So he just drowned like then.
I think a shark or something must have grabbed a hold of him. There's some about on the side of the ship where the whale is.
I have never known them to carry off a sailor. It's generally the fish that kills most sailors be the whales.
He sank like a stone. I tried desperately to get him, but nothing.
This
Sir.
be terrible news.
Sir, I heard your story. I was steering the boat when you were talking to the captain. You said that last night you were tangled up in your bunk, and you
I couldn't get free of it. I tried to save, or whatever his name, Shepherd.
Yeah. I think Matthew was up on the deck at the time. I think that he was in fact sleepwalking, something he is occasionally prone to.
So you don't believe that Mr. Cole did the doing of the thing?
I just want you to be sure. I don't think Mr. Cole would have done it. He seems quite confused.
But there's something accursed about that man.
Well, he looks mighty sick. I gave him a blanket to keep him warm. I think he might have been wandering about on deck all night long in the cold in his night clothes. He had night clothes. But he is mighty.
If it not be Mr. Cole, then who done this thing? Who strangled poor Mr. Shepherd?
I don't know. There's a mighty strange goings on around the ship lately.
What have you seen or heard, Mr. Joy?
I haven't seen anything in particular, sir, except that poor boy, I really didn't want him to die.
That's an odd way of phrasing it.
I mean, I tried and tried to get him back, but it was like the sea wanted him. Are you I take it you're a religious man.
Hey?
I've sailed the seas for a long time, and I do think that there are things we don't understand. Mr. Shepherd said that he saw mermaids, and the mermaids called out to him with the voice of his mother, which sounds to me like ancient Greek mythology, sirens, devils in the sea.
I've heard plenty of talk about such things. Are you a believing man, Mr. Joy?
I believe, but I'm not sure that I know everything there is to believe. There are some mighty strange things out here in the water. Giant sea serpents, and Matthew said something about a bulge in the sea that he couldn't explain. You saw it as well.
I was on the boat that struck down this whale that we're now processing its blubber, and there was almost like a wave frozen. Kept moving away from us. We could never get closer to it. Strange.
That's mighty strange. And Matthew says that he's been having odd dreams. Dreams of an underwater city.
And what make ye of these dreams?
I don't know. Perhaps the dreams mean something. Perhaps they don't. But it's mighty strange, these things going on.
So you came all this way to talk to me about poor Joseph and about dreams?
I came here to talk to you about Matthew. I think we need to reserve our judgment on what's going on until we know better. Killing another man, I don't think that that's such a great idea. Matthew's always been a good sailor.
All right, well, I'll take your word, Mr. Joy. But if you get any inkling about any of the others on this here ship, those who would have done Henry Shepherd or Joseph harm, come right to me.
Aye, sir. And then I'll go back to steering the ship.
Okay. Does anybody else want to take this opportunity to have any conversations or do anything in particular?
I might return to Mr. Cole, but I was just doing stuff. So if somebody else wants to do stuff, by all means.
Let's give Isaac a chance first.
Yeah, I'm sure that we have lots of duties to attend to, but when there's a little bit of a lull, I'll try to pull Silas aside and find DeWitt.
You want to pull Silas and John DeWitt
Yes.
into a little circle? I presume if you guys are willing, that shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, sure.
Gross. DeWitt, it's Reed's hassling, the usual. That's what you'd expect out of the man, but the thing is, we saw something weird again. For what feels like, the 10th time on this voyage?
There's a hand. I saw it, Mr. DeWitt. It reached out. It tried to grab Mr. Chase.
There's something
I know
in the
what
waters.
I fear that there be something
word
accursing
spread?
us in the water.
As
I'm
word
gonna
spread
lean in.
about
The boy.
If it hasn't, I'm going to tell you right
Joseph
now.
Wright.
Joseph Wright. Okay.
So
I hear
there's
tell
one.
that Joseph Wright has drowned.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the word of Joseph Wright has spread to everybody that's currently on board the boat,
Okay.
but there is still a chase boat out that has a third of the crew on it. So yeah.
I can't believe that, Mr. DeWitt. Joseph spent his whole life on boats. I can't believe he would just drown.
Mr. Joy said something must have got a hold of him,
Yeah.
dragged him down. There's
Well-
something not right about these waters, and that there ain't no beings of God in these here.
Methinks I know what it is. An arm, like yours or mine, but covered in fish scales.
Mr. Joy was saying things about sirens and mermaids.
Mr. Joy, okay. Yes. It's not right. And the sharks. Have you seen the sharks in the water, Mr. DeWitt?
I have not seen any of the sharks.
Strange. Ugly
Unnatural.
things. Tiny.
White
As
eyes.
you guys are having this conversation, there's a call from up above decks. Someone in the crow's nest shouting, "Ahoy!"
Duty.
Generally speaking, that means something's been sighted.
Yep. What did you see, laddie?
Yeah. So it's Nathaniel West was up in the crow's nest, and he climbs down the rigging, and he comes down and he says, "Not sure. Best get the captain to have a look."
I look
Man.
around instinctively to send Joseph to fetch the captain, but realize that he's gone.
Yeah.
Would you like me to fetch
Yeah.
the captain, Mr. DeWitt?
Aye, please,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Coffin.
Silas, when you go to the captain's cabin and you knock, you hear the captain's voice very softly respond like, "Yes."
Captain, sir, something's been spotted from the nest.
All right, Mr. Coffin. When he opens the door, he looks almost like he's been crying,
Captain, sir, are you okay?
but quickly shakes it off. He says, "Of course, Mr. Coffin. Show me what's happening."
Yes, sir, of course.
When you guys go up above deck, Nathaniel West has managed to get down to the deck, and he's pointing off, on the horizon. He says, something out there. Not sure what it is. And the captain pulls out a spyglass, and he's sort of like, a dark spot on the water. Have a look, Mr. DeWitt. And he hands you the spyglass. You want to look, John DeWitt?
I would like to see.
Okay. Yeah, you can see a dark shadow, like a spot out on the water, but it's unclear exactly what it is.
It's be something strange.
Indeed. And the captain says, Mr. DeWitt, pick some men, get in one of them boats, go out there and have a closer look.
For no reason in particular, I think I will select Henry Joy, Isaac Chase, Silas Coffin.
Pretty sure I know who's going to fill up
And
this
the carpenter, for whatever reason.
George.
In case there's a hole or something.
George Hussey just happens to be around.
And let's get Matthew Cole out of the brig.
Well, the light of day.
Matthew Cole, unfortunately, is not available for this. So it's the rest of you.
I will make do with 5.
Hi, sir.
I feel wanted. Oh.
All right. So you guys are going to row on out there? Okay. As you approach, you begin to see that the water in this area actually seems to sort of sink in one spot, almost like a whirlpool. But there doesn't seem to be any motion of the water around this spot.
But it looks kind of like a maelstrom. It's just not sucking.
It's just, yeah, exactly.
How is that possible? Like you're bumping the sea.
The sea is full of many strange doings.
I'm giving George the stink eye the whole time. This is your fault, isn't it, landlubber?
It's all so strange. I don't know how I feel.
You don't belong out here.
You're telling me.
But he has to be out here for everybody else is away on the other chase boat.
Yeah, there's something about this that just seems to defy physics. Like everything you know about water, it doesn't behave the way water should behave.
Don't go down into it. How big is it?
Maybe 10 feet in diameter.
Yeah. Skirt around it. I'll man the rudder.
How close would you like to get?
Not.
Do we feel it's not like pulling us, is it?
Doesn't seem to be.
Okay.
What about throw-in distance?
Close enough to poke it with one of those long knives.
Oh, let's throw something first to it.
Yeah.
You want to throw something into it?
We got lots of rope.
Yeah, I'd say you get within about 100 feet or so, and you feel like you might be able to lob something in there. What is it you'd like to lob?
100
I have some scraps of wood that I've been carrying around in my pockets.
Oh, you would. You brought the land with you.
Tie a big old heavy knot onto the end of the rope, and then you can fling it.
Well, what if it pulls us?
Well, then we let go of our end. Don't tie it down. Don't get your legs tangled in it.
Yes, everybody be awful cautious about getting tangled in the whale lines.
I'll do it. I like a monkey's fist into the end of it, and then.
What are you going to tie the other end to?
I suppose we'll tie it to the front end of the boat, but in a way that we can release it so that it lets go if there's 100 different knots that we can use. Something
So
so that
you want
if
to
we yank on
use
it
like a
one
slip
once-
knot?
Yeah,
of some
sort of like
sort?
that.
Okay. Okay. Who's going to do the throw?
I'll do the throw. Wait,
Why don't
am
you
I
go ahead
gonna
and
have
make a
to use
throw roll then? That would be appropriate here, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it's no minimum. I got a 44 out of 20. So I missed.
A sailor who
Yeah.
can't swim and a
Sorta.
sailor who can't throw.
Splashes
Even
into the
a
water
sailor?
about 10 feet away from the thing. It doesn't seem to do anything but drift there.
Oh, we need to get closer. Get closer by about 30 feet closer. We'll still be 70 feet away from it.
George, why don't you throw your tree in?
I was saving these for some whittling in my spare time. I'd like to give them as gifts, but I suppose if it calls for it, I can give it a toss.
It's gonna float.
I'll give it a throw. I'll give it a shot. Why not?
Okay. Would you like to make a throw roll as well?
Yeah. Let's see how this goes. Oof. Yeah, 83 over 40.
Yeah, you guys are just not having a lot of luck with these throws. Again, to the side.
Who's got a good throw? Are we all base?
Anyone play baseball?
Well, I'm used to pooing in whales.
Not invented yet, I don't think.
Cricket?
Can I try again now that we're closer?
Yeah, I'll give you another shot.
I got an 11 that time out of 20. So
Okay.
the big knot goes right into the middle of
Yeah.
the divot.
The rope begins to stream out immediately, very, very fast.
Oh,
Yeah, just zzz, you know.
oh,
Is it
somebody
falling?
want to cut.
It seems to be like, yeah, just sucking into the thing as fast as it will go.
It hasn't hit the water
Like-
yet.
Half the rope is just immediately gone.
Good thing we keep
Yes.
these hatchets around for this very
And it
occasion.
continues.
Cut the rope.
And you're going to cut the rope? Okay, so John DeWitt, you slam the hatchet down on the rope, and the rope cuts. And a moment later, there is a sudden and terrifying sound, a loud, ululating, and utterly alien sound.
Let's be getting back to the ship now.
Agreed.
Sea spray
What is that?
sprays up out of the hole, and you get the sudden smell, the strong smell of dead fish and ammonia. Right, and I need each of you to make a constitution check.
'Tis a blowhole of the
Oh,
biggest
I got an
whale.
01.
Oh, I got an 04.
Barely
I got
a
a 14. We've smelled fish before.
12. I'm good.
Okay.
Are
You guys
these
managed-
sailors and the
You guys
carpenter.
managed to hold your stomachs down with the sudden onslaught of this smell. The hole that the rope got pulled into, when the end of the rope goes down, a moment later the hole seems to just close up, and where it was, there's just the surface of water again.
Was that a whale?
It
Couldn't
was
say
way
for
too
certain.
big for a whale.
Let's be getting back to the captain. Tell him it were a stinky hole.
Was like nothing I've ever
Ah.
seen.
It was big. Biggest fish.
Perhaps if there's mermaids, there'd be giant squid and giant octopi and
Let's not make ourselves a tasty morsel for it and get back to the Barclay.
So you're gonna row back?
row, man, row.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, a few minutes later, you guys are back at the Barclay, and the captain is there. What was it?
It must have been some giant devilfish. I don't know.
Twere a stinky hole. Took our rope.
Made a horrible noise. Unnatural.
Or exceeding strange.
And the carpenter couldn't throw his log properly.
I was saving that for a gift, and now it's gone, and wood's hard to come by out here.
He says, well, get back aboard. We'll give it a wide berth.
Hi, Captain.
Hey,
Ah,
have we seen any hide or tail of that other chase boat?
They do eventually come back. Yeah, in the evening, exhausted from a long day of, rowing and chasing whales, and ultimately unsuccessful. And as they are kind of like unloading and stuff like that, the captain runs into you, Silas, at some point. And he says, Silas,
Yes, sir.
I want you to go up on the top deck, get out a fishing net, and catch a fish for me. Doesn't matter the size, Silas. Any fish will do.
Hi, Captain.
Bring it to me, Silas. Show nobody. Just me.
Yes, sir.
Good lad. Okay.
I will do as the captain asks.
Okay, yeah. So similar to Joseph Wright the other day, you go up there, and this is all well known to you. You catch another fish. This time it is a normal looking fish. It's not one of those white sharks. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring it back to the captain. Sir, would you like me to have the cook prepare something for you?
He looks at the fish, seems momentarily disappointed, and he says, that's all right, Mr. Coffin. Throw it back.
Would you like me to try and catch another for you, sir?
No, Mr. Coffin, not today. That'll be all.
Hi, Captain.
And Silas,
Yes, sir.
keep it quiet.
Yes, sir, of course.
Okay.
Do we know whereabouts we are, generally?
Of course, I know where we are.
How general?
So I guess I'm thinking of Mr. Arangi, and I think he's told me a bit about his home, and I think if I thought we were close to where he came from, I might ask him about the waters around his homes, if like these strange fish or something he normally sees, but if that's totally not, then I wouldn't bother, I think.
Yeah, that's a legit question, I think. You are out in the middle of the South Pacific, but of course the South Pacific is huge.
Very large.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
So to say that anything is close might be an overstatement.
Right.
But he does tell you that no, he has never seen those particular types of sharks before.
I see.
Yeah.
What is this, Mr. Arangi? And I'll pull it out of my pocket because I have been carrying it with me when he told me it might bring me luck. What can you tell me more about this Father Tutu?
He just shrugs. He says, where I come from, we carve these for luck.
I'll keep it on me. Thank you, Mr. Arangi.
Yeah, he smiles at you.
And I think I won't mention the fish to the others because I feel good about the captain seeming to maybe give me a little favor. So.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else any of you would like to do before the day is out?
I do want to be going to check on Mr. Cole.
Okay. So yeah, and when it starts to get dark, you go down, and Matthew Cole, you have another visitor.
I'm wrapped in a blanket, and I'm sort of looking in the corner, so I don't quite notice you unless you make a noise.
Yeah.
Mr. Cole.
Oh, there's the voice I wanted to hear. Mr. DeWitt, how are you doing?
I'd had a very strange day, Mr. Cole.
Well, Mr. Joy came around at one point to tell me what happened with the cabin boy. And he
I
seems like a man who might be willing to believe us, so I told him to talk to you if he saw anything strange. So perhaps
he
we
did
have another
come talk
ally.
to me.
Good. We might have someone else who
There
can
be
help
strange
us.
things in the water and strange things on this ship.
So tell me
Only
what
we
you've
had a
seen.
looking glass, lad. And you could see what I see looking at you. You seem awfully out of sorts, Mr. Cole.
Mr. Joy seemed to be fascinated by whatever I... Perhaps I've got some kind of consumption or something. Maybe you shouldn't get too close. I do feel out of sorts and I look terrible, I'm sure, like looking at my skin. I don't know what's happened. But I haven't eaten much
in your
either.
hands.
Yeah. Oh, can I have some more of that tobacco there? At least that fills me up with something.
I
Thank you, sir.
Now,
Feel the
no hard
wood.
feelings, Mr. Cole, but you must understand that I gotta leave you in here.
I
overnight.
understand completely. I do. I think that my one chance of proving my innocence relies on me being here because things will make sense that could have nothing to do with me, and you'll understand that you and I are on the same page and same world.
Well,
So tell me what you've
God.
seen, though. Fill me in. I want to know what's happening.
there
What
was
did you
some
see?
kind of massive fish or something out there.
Like, what are we talking? Like bigger than a whale? What do you say?
It'd be the biggest fish I ever seen, if it be a fish.
Oh, well, don't let the captain know or he'll have us try to catch it and cut it up. So that's it, a big fish? Anything else?
Other than the death of that poor
Yes.
Joseph.
Does that seem like a natural thing to you? I wonder. He was a,
Henry
yes.
Joy doesn't believe it was a natural thing.
And the
And
boy was on the. Go ahead.
Isaac Chase and Silas Coffin say that something came up out of the water and tried to drag them down too.
Well, remember, we were all on the boat that saw that horrible thing those months ago. And so did the boy. He saw it. Herman saw it. I saw it. You saw it.
And now there
Silas-
be four of us.
Yes, I think perhaps something's trying to take us out now.
But why?
Don't know. What did we
over
see?
just a strange wave.
I don't know, but I have a feeling that there are people on this ship that know more than we do, and we must find a way to interrogate them, or spy on them, or learn something. The cabin boy had the right idea. He knew that there was something going on, and bless his soul, he was trying to find out something some of the time. Just wasn't very good at it, I suspect. But you're a wise man, DeWitt. Perhaps you can figure something out. And you have prerogatives and privileges that many of us don't have.
I wish I had more prerogative and privileges. The captain and that first mate of his being awfully secretive of late.
Well, perhaps if you make yourself more indispensable, maybe you can find a way into seeing something that would help us learn more.
Perhaps.
I've
All right,
smoked
well,
all
good
your
night, Mr.
tobacco
Cole.
on you. I'm very sorry. I've taken it all. Here you go. Keep an eye on your dreams, Mr. DeWitt. Perhaps there's something to be learned there, too.
Be careful with that, lad.
No,
It
I
be my
can't-
dreams as to make ye awfully suspicious of what happened.
I can't
before.
sleepwalk out of
Shepherd.
this room, Mr. DeWitt. Don't worry. I can't go anywhere.
I will re-lock the door behind me.
I'll go back to stare
Okay.
at the corner.
Okay. So, is there anything anyone else would like to do before the day is out? Okay. Henry Joy. When the men are going to bed, you are approached by Obed Reed. He says,
Mr. Reed.
"Yeah, come to the captain's cabin. We'll meet there."
Aye, sir.
So, You, Obed Reed, Lawson Bond, and Captain Chapel meet in the captain's cabin. And Captain lights up a pipe. And he says, Matthew Cole belongs to the sea now. Then he looks around and he says, the price was 3. And so it will be. We'll do it tonight. We'll let Matthew Cole be the 3rd. Henry, you're on watch tonight. You'll
Yes,
do
sir.
it. Obed,
Aye.
you'll help Henry.
Aye, sir.
Now, go and get it done.
Mr. Reed.
I think this would be the perfect place for us to end session 2.
DeWitt, figure this out, damn it.
Your only hope.
Your only hope.
I be a sailor, not a detective.
Learn quick.
Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, Holly Buteau, Preston Firestone, Troy Lehman, Kaylin McDowell, and myself, with Stefan Amshey as the Keeper of Arcane Lore. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure to the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.